اصول نمبر 7، اگر کسی سے کوئی تکلیف پہنچے تو اس کا عوض لینے کا خواہ نہ ہو، بلکہ مالک کی طرف سے سمجھے اور اس کا شکریہ ادا کرے۔ دنیا کے سب مذاہب بلا اتفاق کہہ رہے ہیں کہ جو کچھ ہوتا ہے اپنے کرموں کا نتیجہ ہے، اس کے خلاف ایذا کسی کو پہنچ ہی نہیں سکتی۔ جب یہ بات ہے تو پھر ہم کیوں نہ سمجھ لیں کہ در حقیقت یہ اس طرح پر ہماری بنائی ہوئی قسمت کا کرشمہ ہے۔ ہم نے اپنی قسمت خود بنائی تھی، وہ کیسے بنی؟ اس کا حل یہ ہے کہ جو کام ہم کسی طریقے سے دل اور دماغ لگا کر کرتے ہیں تو ہم اس اصل چیز میں، جو کہ ان سب چیزوں کے آنے کی بنیاد ہے، نقش بنا لیتے ہیں، اور وہ چیز بیج روپ میں اس وقت تک موجود رہتی ہے جب تک کہ بھوگ کر ہم اس کے نقش مٹا نہ دیں۔ اس کا بھوگنا لازمی ہے۔ قدرت کا نیم ہے کہ وہ چیز ایسی ہی صاف شفاف رکھنا چاہتی ہے جیسی کہ ابتدا میں آئی ہے۔ اس پر ذرا بھی غبار پڑ جانے سے اس کی چمک دمک ماند پڑ جاتی ہے۔ طاقت اور قوت ہونے کی وجہ سے خود یہ ایک طرح کی زندگی اختیار کر لیتی ہے اور اس کے نسبت کرم کے لحاظ سے ہو جاتی ہے، اور یہ اس وجہ سے کہ ہم نے اپنے آپ کو کاریہ کرنے والا سمجھ لیا ہے، اسی خیال کے زور نے اس میں نقش بنا دے ہیں۔ جب یہ سامان کافی طور پر مہیا ہو چکتا ہے اور اس میں کافی بل پڑ چکتے ہیں، اس میں خیال کی گرمی بھی شامل ہوتی ہے، جس کا وجہ سے اس میں چیتنیتا اور بھی بڑھ جاتی ہے۔ چیتنیتا بڑھنے کی وجہ سے ان میں ایک طرح کا ابھال شروع ہو جاتا ہے۔ قانون قدرت ہے کہ جو چیز جہاں سے آتی ہے اسی جگہ پر واپس ہونے کی کوشش کرتی ہے، اور اسی طرف کو اس کے جانے کا رجحان ہو جاتا ہے جہاں سے کہ آئی ہے۔ اب اس چیز میں گرمی لگ لگ کر یہ حالت پیدا ہو گئی ہے کہ وہ اس بھاری پن کو برداشت نہیں کر سکتی، پس لازم ہے کہ وہ اپنے آپ کو خالی کرنے کی غرض سے اس جگہ پر جاوے جہاں سے کہ آئی ہے۔ چھوٹی چیز میں سے جب کوئی چیز برآمد ہوتی ہے اور اس کو جب کافی میدان ملتا ہے تو اس کا بھی پھیلاؤ وسیع ہو جاتا ہے۔ اب یہ پھیلاؤ جو ہوا ہے جسامت کی وجہ سے کافی زوردار ہوتا ہے۔ جب جسامت پیدا ہو جاتی ہے تو اس میں زور بھی اسی لحاظ سے پیدا ہو جاتا ہے، کیونکہ آنے والی چیز میں قوت بھی شامل ہوتی ہے۔ جب یہ حال ہو گیا تو اس کی شکل اب دوسرے قسم کی ہو جاتی ہے۔ جہاں پر جگہ ہے انہیں میں وہ سمانے کی کوشش کرتی ہے اور ان پردوں پر اپنا اثر ڈالتی ہے جو بھوگ کے لیے محفوظ ہیں۔ بس تکلیف شروع ہو جاتی ہے۔ اس چیز کو میں نے بہت مختصر بیان کیا ہے، ورنہ یہ ہر خیال کی صورت جداگانہ دکھائی جا سکتی ہے۔ ایسی شکلیں پیدا ہونے لگتی ہیں، خواہ اندر پیدا ہو جائیں خواہ باہر سے ان کو مدد ملے۔ مطلب سب کا یہی ہوتا ہے کہ وہ چیز کسی طرح سے صاف ہو جاوے۔ بیرونی مدد جو اپنے کرموں کے بھوگنے سے ملتی ہے اس کو لوگ دوسرے کی طرف سے عزت رسانی کا خیال باندھتے ہیں، اور ناواقفیت کا وجہ سے جس بیرونی چیز سے ان کو بھوگ میں مدد ملتی ہے، اپنا خیال اس جانب سے خراب کر لیتے ہیں۔ یہ بالکل بے جا ہے، اس لیے کہ در حقیقت اس نے اس چیز کو صاف کرنے میں مدد دی، گویا اس نے ایک گناہ احسان کیا۔ جب یہ بات ہے تو واقعی طور پر اس بیرونی طاقت نے کسی کے ذریعے جو کام کیا ہے، اس نے آپ کو صاف ہونے میں بہت مدد دی۔ دوسرے معنی میں اس نے ایک دوست کا کام کیا ہے۔ اب چونکہ عام طور پر اس حد تک خیال نہیں پہنچتا اور نہ اس فلسفہ پر کوئی غور کرتا ہے، اس لیے یہی کہہ دیا گیا ہے کہ اس چیز کو اپنے مالک کی طرف سے سمجھے تاکہ وہ دل میں دشمنی کا خیال پیدا نہ ہونے پاوے اور شرافت سے کسی حال میں گر نہ جاوے۔ جو چیز کی بہتری کے لیے کسی شخص کے ذریعہ سے آئی ہے، دل بے اختیار اس سے خوش ہو جاتا ہے، بلکہ یہی حالت شکریہ کی کہی جا سکتی ہے۔
اصول 7، اگر کسی سے کوئی تکلیف پہنچے تو اس کا بدلہ لینے کی کامنا نہ کرے، بلکہ مالک کی طرف سے سمجھے اور اس کا شکریہ ادا کرے۔ دنیا کے سب مذہب ایک مت سے کہہ رہے ہیں کہ جو کچھ ہوتا ہے اپنے کرموں کا نتیجہ ہے، اس کے خلاف تکلیف کسی کو پہنچ ہی نہیں سکتی۔ جب یہ بات ہے تو پھر ہم کیوں نہ سمجھ لے کہ در حقیقت یہ اس طرف پر ہماری بنائی ہوئی قسمت کا کرشمہ ہے۔ ہم نے اپنی قسمت خود بنائی تھی۔ وہ کیسے بنی؟ اس کا حل یہ ہے کہ جو کام ہم کسی طریقے سے دل اور دماغ لگا کر کرتے ہیں تو ہم اس اصل چیز میں جو ان سب چیزوں کے آنے کی بنیاد ہے سنسکار بنا لیتے ہیں، اور وہ چیز بیج روپ میں اس وقت تک موجود رہتی ہے جب تک کہ بوگ کر ہم اس میں سنسکار مٹا نہ دے۔ اس کا بوگنا ضروری ہے۔ قدرت کا نیم ہے کہ وہ چیز ایسی ہی صاف شفاف رکھنا چاہتی ہے جیسے کہ پرارمبھ میں آئی ہے۔ اس پر ذرا بھی دھبا پڑ جانے سے اس کی چمک دمک مند پڑ جاتی ہے۔ طاقت اور شکتی ہونے کی وجہ سے خود یہ ایک طرح کی زندگی اپنا لیتی ہے اور اس کا نسبت کرم کے لحاظ سے ہو جاتا ہے، اور یہ اس وجہ سے کہ ہم نے اپنے آپ کو کاریہ کرنے والا سمجھ لیا ہے۔ اسی خیال کے زور نے اس میں سمسکار بنا دیے ہے۔ جب یہ سامان کافی طور پر جمع ہو چکا ہے، اس میں کافی بل پڑ چکتے ہیں، اس میں خیال کی گرمی بھی شامل ہوتی ہے جس کی وجہ سے اس میں چیتنیتا اور بھی بڑھ جاتی ہے۔ چیتنیتا بڑھنے کی وجہ سے ان میں ایک طرح کا ابال شروع ہو جاتا ہے۔ یہ قانون قدرت کا ہے کہ جو چیز جہاں سے آتی ہے اسی جگہ پر واپس ہونے کی کوشش کرتی ہے، اور اسی طرف کو اس کے جانے کا رجحان ہو جاتا ہے جہاں سے کہ آئی ہے۔ اب اس چیز میں گرمی لگ کر یہ حالت پیدا ہو گئی ہے کہ وہ اس بھاری پن کو برداشت نہیں کر سکتی۔ بس لازم ہے کہ وہ اپنے کو خالی کرنے کی غرض سے اس جگہ پر جائے جہاں سے کی آئی ہے۔ چھوٹی چیز میں سے جب کوئی چیز برآمد ہوتی ہے اور اس کو جب کافی میدان ملتا ہے تو اس کا بھی پھیلاؤ ویسے ہی وسترت ہو جاتا ہے۔ اب یہ پھیلاؤ جو ہوا ہے ماترا کی وجہ سے کافی زوردار ہوتا ہے۔ جب ماترا پیدا ہو جاتی ہے تو اس میں जोर भी उसी लिहाज से पैदा हो जाता है क्योंकि आने वाली चीज में शक्ति भी शामिल होती है। जब ये हाल हो गया तो उसकी शक्ल अब दूसरे किस्म की हो जाती है। जहां पर जगह है उन्हीं में वो समाने की कोशिश करती है और उन पर्दों पर अपना असर डालती है जो भोग के लिए आरक्षित है। बस तकलीफ शुरू हो जाती है। इस चीज को मैंने बहुत संक्षेप में बयान किया है, वरना ये ख्याल की सूरत अलग अलग दिखाई जा सकती है। भोग के लिए ऐसे हालत पैदा होने लगते हैं जो चाहे अंदरूनी कारण से पैदा हो जाए या बाहरी कारण से उनको मदद मिले। मतलब सबका यही होता है कि वो चीज किसी तरह से साफ हो जाए। बाहरी मदद जो आपने कर्मों के भोगने से मिलती है उसको लोग दूसरों की तरफ से पहुंची हुई तकलीफ का ख्याल बांधते हैं और नादानी की वजह से जिस बाहरी चीज से उनको भोग में मदद मिलती है अपना ख्याल उसके प्रति खराब कर लेते हैं। ये बात बिल्कुल गलत है। मदद दी, इस तरह उसने एक गुनाह एहसास किया। जब ये बात है तो वाकई तौर पर उसी बाहर ताकत से मैं किसी के जरिए जो काम किया है उसने आपको साफ होने में बहुत मदद दी। दूसरे मानों में उसने एक दोस्त का काम किया है। अब चूंकि आप आम इस सिद्धांत पर कोई गौर करता है, इसीलिए यही कर दिया गया है कि उस चीज को अपने मालिक की तरफ से समझे ताकि वो दिल में दुश्मनी का ख्याल पैदा न होने पावे और शराफत से किसी हाल में गिर न जावे। जो चीज जो कि बेहतरी के लिए किसी शख्स के जरिए से आई है, दिल सहज उससे खुश हो जाता है, बल्कि यही हालत शुक्रिया की कही जा सकती है।
Commandment 7. Be not revengeful for the wrongs done by others. Take them with gratitude as heavenly gifts. Almost all religions unanimously agree that whatever happens is the result of our actions. Nobody ever suffers in contravention of this principle. When such is the case, one will naturally be led to the conclusion that it is really the fate which he himself has built up. Truly speaking, we ourselves are the makers of fate. When we do something, by applying our head and heart, we form impressions thereof at the base, which remain there in seed form till they are washed off by the effect of bhogam, the process of undergoing the effects. The bhogam is thus essential and indispensable. As a rule, nature wants to keep everything pure and crystal clear, just as it had originally come down in the beginning. Even the slightest coating veils its luster. Thus, in itself, being a power assumes a kind of life which we relate with our own karmas, actions. It is because we pose ourselves as the doers. This is very thought forces its impressions. When such thoughts get accumulated, they form numerous coils. The heat of thought contained in it promotes the growth of activity, which sets up a sort of boiling action in it. According to the law of nature, everything tends to go back to its source. Since owing to the continuous contact of heat, its heaviness grows unendurable. It becomes necessary for it to return to the origin in order to relieve itself of the weight. Things coming out from even smaller things get expanded when they find sufficient scope for it. The expansion is full with force according to the volume it covers. Because the things which have sprung up naturally possess power. When this is the case, it now turns another phase and begins to cover all available space, affecting even the layers reserved for bhog. This leads to the commencement of sufferings. I have taken up the subject very briefly, though every point in it could be further illustrated separately. The circumstances for the process of bhogam, which may be from internal causes or external, are thus created. The external help comes in the form of suffering caused by the wrongs done by others, against which the people generally poison their thought on account of their own ignorance. This is very improper because this action, having helped the process of purification, has in fact put you under a sense of obligation. When this is the case, the work done through an external agency, it may be any, has in other words rendered the function of a true friend. This may seem to be an uncommon approach since this basic philosophy was never taken into account before, for the reason that it came out simply in the form of an advice to take everything as coming from the Lord, so that the feelings of resentment may not arise and one may not lose the nobility of the character. Thus, it is quite evident that anything comes to us for our ultimate good, may it be from any medium, fills our heart with delight and promotes in us a sense of gratitude.
There is this one line
We'll
in
go to
English. The English translation probably conveys a different meaning.
Now, what is that, Atul?
It says the heat of thought contained in it promotes the growth of activity, which sets up a sort of a boiling action in it. In Urdu and Hindi, he talks about Chetanata.
Yeah.
The heat of
No, the idea is we have a mind, and we have a mind where we have conscious mind, and we have divided what is called a subconscious mind, and whatever thoughts and actions we are doing under the idea of a doership, that produce every thought or action. Thought is a subtle action. They all they all stay in your subconscious mind, and that is the heat actually. That is the wheel of the heat actually. That heat causes you discomfort or causes you unhappiness, causes you to be away from your true nature, which is behind that heat, which is the God actually. So when you're meditating at another place, uses the idea that the wheel of this heat is stone and the thoughts come to the surface, he says. So external agency, when it comes, he is allowing, he's creating a external environment where this samskara which is hidden, he's got a chance to come up actually. And when it comes up, the heat is gone. When heat is gone, you will feel peaceful. So that's why when we meditate, and then that is why in the second note, Dr. KCV has advised that you should give the suggestion that coolness is developing. The idea is that only. uh, all the thoughts and all that impressions which are there. And Babuji also gives the same concept here. The coils, the Chaitanyata is there, the power is there in the thought, and that is the heat which sets up a boiling action. And when the boiling action is there, it causes discomfort to the soul, and it wants to go back. When it goes back means it is throwing out. Go back to its calmness and peace. It is only possible by throwing off that heat actually. And the heat is nothing but the samskaras, which are forces, mind you, these are all forces actually. But if you please try to link it up with the 10th commandment commentary, he says, when a person prays, feels meekness and then puts up his difficulties to the master with a supplicant mood, the master's force comes and removes all those impressions. So that means yoga only is the method which gives you the solution to get rid of these impressions. We are slaves of these impressions, and we can be free from this slavery by praying to God, and then God's grace comes and can remove these impressions. Mala, Vikshep and Avarna can be totally removed. If you read the 10th commandment commentary of Babuji, it will be clearly written there. So the beautiful thing about yoga is all these burden which you are carrying in our consciousness about likes and dislikes and about diseases which are going to come in future or whatever, they all can be, all that grossness can be removed.
Okay.
I don't know whether I didn't understand your question, but I tried to. Atul, I don't know whether
it got answered. Like,
was that the same idea you're talking?
So growth of activity, I was seeing more of like
because
physical activity in the world, but like it's mental thoughts and mental actions also.
No, it is the thoughts actually. You'll be very calm and quiet. Suddenly, a situation comes, and then the anger or sadness comes from inside very powerfully, and that is just a accidental thing that somebody who's irritating you has come. But actually, your irritation, anger is actually lying in your consciousness. It comes out. It comes into your conscious mind. But we are saying that the other person is responsible for your anger. It is not true. Anger is coming from inside you actually. So that is actually lying hidden in some layer of your subconscious mind. And when appropriate circumstances, it comes out. That is why so much of importance is the success and the greatness of our system. Why people are absorbed for hours together in meditation. Why people enjoy so much of extreme tranquility and peace in our system by the disciple of Babuji is because of this cleaning process, because of the grossness is cleaned by themselves as well as by the trainers. That's why people within 1 week of their starting meditation, they're able to sit for hours in meditation. Why is it? Which is extraordinarily unique thing which is happening in this world. That is because of the system where purification is there. I hope
it's addressed.
You understand the actually there's a lot of psychology is in the. He himself says that every word can be written, pages can be written about every idea which he says space is occupied and all that. There he says, I'm briefly trying to tell you about the commentary, but each idea can require a different commentary. He himself is suggesting that there's a lot can be said, but he's keeping it in a very precise way. He's summarizing it actually, but it can be elaborated further. That's what he himself says. Any other clarification or understanding you want to share, anybody, which will help us to practice better?
Just one thing I have observed, that so when there is some function or when there is you have certain strong desire, I see that sometimes in the meditation you feel all the thoughts related to it and the energy coming up. And after that, after the meditation is over, and after that, when you are getting to that work, the heaviness is gone, and then you are, what I would say is that doership gets reduced, I feel. But during the meditation, it's like a boiling action, right? The energy is just waiting to come out. That's what I feel.
Going away for doership is a very major advancement in spiritual growth in the process. It's almost the weakening of ego to a very large extent. It's not all that easy, because if you read commentary on Gita also, Babuji says that it requires a lot of hard work to achieve that liberation from the feeling of doership, actually. But we have to keep practicing, and as you keep practicing, then the mind becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. It starts seeing reality more clearly. It starts clearly feeling that you're not responsible, and the divine energy is doing all the work. That understanding comes naturally, and once that thing comes, a lot of weight of your thoughts go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go to the Sir's commentary.
Okay.
Gratitude, commandment number 7. The 7th commandment recommends to be not revengeful for the wrongs done by the others. Take them with gratitude as heavenly gifts. We are told someone is our brother and we should treat him as such. In reply, we say, that person has unnecessarily accused me. He has thrown mud on me. He questioned my character. There is a character assassination going on me. He is trying to spoil my property. He has done positive harm to me. How can I treat him as such? It is agreed that we know him as our brother and he has come from the same source. But then how not to be revengeful? How to be not revengeful when he wrongs me? He says, be not revengeful for the wrongs done by others. How? Because everything that happens to us has come to us because of our karma. No other person is responsible for what is coming to us except ourselves. Remember the concept of karma, which the master referred to in commandment number 2. How we came down from the source. It is because we jumped out of the reality. We left on our own. We divorced the ultimate on our own. Please note this point. We left on our own. We divorced the ultimate on our own. Please note this point. Having divorced, we want to get back. That is the recurrent theme of Sri Ramchandraji's Raja Yoga. We came out and we are trying to get back. When we came out, we have built so many obstacles for ourselves. We got ourselves entangled in so many things, so many samskaras developed. And today, when we want to go back, we say, brother has done this, sister has done this, etc. Perhaps we have done that harm to them long back. Umpteen number of religious stories are there to which I do not like to divert now. In these stories, it was related that because of a particular wrong done by him earlier, he has suffered like this or that, etc. now. So the question of taking revengeful action arises only when we opt to make one more samskara. In silently suffering whatever is coming to us as a divine blessing, by not taking revenge on others, we will be curtailing the formation of any further samskara. We will be assisting in our sadhana. If the attitude of not taking revenge on others is advocated by somebody on the plea that as everybody makes mistakes, we should develop tolerance, it is not accepted by us. But if it is ingrained in our thinking process that everything that happens to us is happening because of our past karma and we are responsible for it totally, we should naturally have the courage to say, let us go through this. Take them with gratitude as heavenly gifts. Yes, it is a gift because otherwise we have to go through that samskara much later, thousands of years later, thousands of lives later. It is given to us now so that in this very life we are able to get rid of this and get back. We are able to complete our debt, whatever it may be, whatever karma we have completely completed enjoying it. Then the opportunity becomes a gift. The possibility of experiencing the whole thing as a heavenly gift makes us again remember the Master, which again assists us in our sadhana. Not as heavenly gifts as such, because which heaven has given them. It is the ultimate. It is a Master who says, "It is my gift." Heavenly gift, technically, that should not be translated as gift from Swargam. This type of literal translations are possible. The heavenly gift means a gift from the God, the Master. The miseries and difficulties that come to us are result of actions. By going through the results of our actions, we are reducing the load on our being. The experiences during cleaning sessions of meditational practice that leave us in a relatively lighter state of being are positive indications of relief we are experiencing. Aspirants who experience this type of relief naturally gets inclined to accept the miseries and afflictions as gifts from the Master. They enable them to think about the homeland, and as reminding agents, they become our friends. The agents who appear to have caused misery to us, then are in fact friends, and the attitude of revenge becomes alien to this situation. This is a matter of knowledge gained through experience.
We'll read Dr. KCB's.
Just one thing here.
Can I put it on the screen?
Sir has given clarification that what is heavenly gift, that it is to be treated as gift from the Master. So I don't know why the heavenly gift translation was used in English, because the Urdu one is very clear that take them with gratitude as gift from the Master. The commandment itself says, "Usko Malik ki taraf se samjho." So if that translation would have been read, this clarification perhaps was not. It's more explicit in the Urdu one. That it's to be treated as gift from the Master.
Malik ki taraf se samjhe. Not heavenly translation. That's true. It's a good observation. I think, heavenly. Take them gradually as gift from the Master. It should have been written. No.
Right. But Sir has corrected that perception in his comment that heavenly gift, technically, that should not be translated as gift from Swarga. The heavenly gift means a gift from the God, the Master. So Sir has made it explicit in his comment. But the same could have been done in the commandment translation itself.
Main heading itself. Translation itself would have been good.
Right.
Okay, we'll go to Dr. KCV's comment.
I can read.
Yeah, you please do.
The seventh commandment instructs that one should not be revengeful for wrongs done to one by others. One should treat the acts of such kind emanating from anyone as helps towards purification. This is about the most difficult of the commandments to follow or even to think of. In a world of action and reaction of forces said to be opposed to one another as godly and ungodly, good and evil, it is really necessary to think afresh on this problem and commandment. Sri Ramchandraji reminds that the entire philosophy behind this abhyas or sadhana has to be considered. The original condition is one of shanti or peace, and it is coolness itself. Earlier, it has been shown that all activity has increased heat and light, and consciousness, and finally misery has resulted from this excessive heat. These radiations from the center are thus natural processes, which, however, tend to give up heat and return to the original state or coolness. We know that we all seek the night and also coolness, of course, not in excess. We all seek sleep as the period of rest or restfulness. The periods of meditations are for the sake of returning to this coolness or ananta or shanti. There is a law called the second law of thermodynamics, which says that an entropy tends to a maximum, entropy being the state of rest, of non-motion or non-heat. The whole world is working according to this law. This will mean that even the sun is finally to become without heat. Of course, if nothing intervenes to lift it up from that condition. All of us seek rest normally unless activity is needed for the preservation of the body or system. If nothing intervenes, entropy will certainly tend to become absolute or maximum. We know also that when a particular place is rendered very hot due to the lowering of pressure, air from neighboring places or surroundings begins to rush in to increase the pressure and relieves the depression and the heat. Even so, when it passes to the place of depression, to the extreme urgency of the condition, there happens typhoons and gales of velocity, which indeed do uproot the trees and damage buildings. Similarly, when the individual's misery or heat increase, there is set up naturally a force to relieve the same. And in that process, there happens damage too. Man thus finds that instead of lessening his misery, more has been added. He becomes agitated against the relieving force, which seeks to lower the misery and the heat, tapa. He endows that force with animosity and enmity. He entertains hatred towards it. He opposes that force with all his might, and in the process brings into being more heat and misery. This leads to a cycle of actions and reactions. An intelligent man should see that an inimical force is but a friendly force that is removing the obstructions of the heat and misery. It was said that if a man strikes you on the right cheek, show him the left, for by that process he removes the obstruction to his own progress and helps the removal which was shown to be necessary by the so-called inimical force. Thus, it was also said that in humiliation lies supreme glory. Revenge is natural to the order of ignorance. What is produced by it is greater misery. Most probably, it may even be said that our revenge is the cause of building up of the so-called Sukshma Sarira for the sake of transmigration from body to body, not so much to evolve, but to take vengeance against our foes or enemies. The desire to take vengeance is certainly a major element in our misery cycle. So much so, if one does not wish to be caught up in this cycle of vengeance from life to life, one must renounce vengeance. One should develop love for one's enemies. For an enemy is a friend estranged because of his function of removing our impediments. It is true that such an estranged friend is not aware of the good role he is playing. He may even become wicked and ferocious and murderous too. But the new point of view of spirituality will disarm all vengefulness on our part. The Gandhian view of nonviolence is capable of being considered as the expression of this power of love to overcome the vengefulness. But it can be seen that so long as the aim to convert the enemy is dominant, it does not really mean that love that seeks to thank the evildoer for the good turn he has done. The surgical operation that he has performed, removing our impediments, which we could not ourselves remove. If we think that all this world is indeed governed by one supreme Godhead, and that nothing happens without His will and according to His law, then we shall thank God for all things that occur. This is the meaning of the sloka of Sri Krishna. Sukha dukhe samakrita labha labho jayo jaya jayo, making equal both pain and pleasure, gain and loss, victory and defeat. One should seek to attain the Sthita Prajna state, a state of well-established prajna, deep peace. So, the question which Atul pointed out, like activity is in the Urdu one, it says when consciousness increases, then he uses the word chaitanyata in the Urdu one. The English one uses the word activity. So here, I think second paragraph, Dr. KCV clarifies that. He uses activity and consciousness almost in the same breath. The original condition is one of Shanti or peace, and it is coolness itself. Earlier, it has been shown that all activity has increased heat and light and consciousness. And finally, misery has resulted from this excessive heat. So, Atul, it clarifies that question that you raised. Third paragraph.
Right.
Second sentence.
See, there is one more thing, one more observation. It could be just purely my observation. Maybe like my background is in Hindi, so if you read the commandment in Hindi, it says, "Agar kisi se koi takleef pahunche." Like in case you get hurt by somebody, or you get some kind of discomfort from somebody. So, अगर कोई तकलीफ पहुंचे, it could be purely my own take on the situation. I may be feeling discomfort because of presence of somebody. I could be feeling hurt because somebody said something. So it's purely my take on the situation. The other person may be totally oblivious of this fact. He may be totally ignorant of this fact that this thing is causing hurt to me. Whereas in English, it's very categorically stated wrongs done by others. So if you read the Hindi one, immediately the mellowness comes in your heart. If there is, अगर किसी से कोई तकलीफ पहुंचे तो उससे बदला लेने की कामना ना करें, because it could be purely my take on the situation. Other person may not be at fault at all. So going to the extreme of revenge will not come if the first line clicks with us.
No, I don't agree with you on this because he is not talking about superficial misunderstandings and misperceptions. Like suppose somebody passes a comment, I, uh, I feel a perceived insult. He is not talking about that. That is here actually real pain is caused to you. I mean, a real event has happened which causes you misery, not a perceptual insult which you feel because of your complexities. He's not talking about that. That is a very superficial level. Actually. But here he's talking of actual harm done to, somebody takes away your property, somebody puts you in jail or something of that. That kind of real misery caused to you by their actions, not perceived insults and all that. That is not the idea.
Sir, it also covers both the spectrum of intentional and unintentional. So if somebody has unintentionally hurt you, and if it is he has hurt you intentionally, also it covers both.
Well, yogi generally is beyond all those things. No, he is generally is within himself, and he is only concerned with his intimacy with the master. He is not concerned about his image or his what other person is thinking. He does not give opinion, give importance to the opinion of others. He gives more importance to the opinion of the master. So of a drama that is caring about others, but he really cares about whether he is living in tune with the will of the master or not. He wants to be intimate with the master. So the psychological power games which people play in society between oneself, that is pure ego. That is less in the case of a sincere yogi actually. But here Babuji is talking about real pain and misery caused like that, Anyway, I'll just read a small letter.
Sir, one clarification
from
clarification from Dr. KCV's. One second. He says these radiations. Can you clarify that? Bhaiya, Ekbar, can you put that back? What is Dr. KCV referring to? He says these radiations from the center are thus the natural processes which, however, tend to give up heat and return to the original state of coolness. What is the radiations that he is referring to, sir?
The Babuji himself has mentioned that so it actually came out from as God itself. But forgotten that you under the influence of the ego that forms impressions, and this impression is a heat produced in your subconscious mind which gives you discomfort and unhappiness. So the after a certain time it becomes difficult for the soul to bear that discomfort, and that discomfort is coming because the soul is identified itself with the mind, and the mind means all these vasanas or the impressions are there. So it tries to withdraw itself from the mind and goes back to its source. So it tries, and while in this process, these impressions come out for Bhog. And in the process of Bhog is helped by, you think is an external agency, but actually without that samskara, nobody can give you pain or misery. You have created your own destiny. And then someday that pain or suffering has to come. Incidentally, that fellow as an incidental cause to bring up that samskara to fruition, that's all. So the soul detaches itself from the mind and tries to goes back to its origin. So that requires, it can still be, most of us, the soul is in touch with the mind, it identifies with the mind. And whenever it is meditating, it is disentangling itself from the mind onto the source. That is why we feel peaceful in meditation. Why do we feel light and peaceful in meditation? Because the soul is detaching from the mind and trying to remain in the source itself. But the moment we are out of meditation, we identify with our feelings, we identify with our thoughts, we identify with our body. Even though the entropy, like for example, rationally speaking, entropy, if you understand entropy, the entropy tends towards disorder. The body's energy and all that, finally body should disintegrate and die. All the systems should fail. And once you know it, why should you feel so worried and anxious about a small discomfort? You keep running after doctors. It should not happen, no? But then because the mind is identified, the soul is identified completely with the mind and the body. So whenever any discomfort, he even though he knows the rule of law, the natural law of the entropy, second law of thermodynamics, he doesn't want to face the truth. He believes that his body is infinite and it defies the law of second law of thermodynamics. So he's in misery. And in meditation, what is happening? You are now disentangling yourself from the mind and body and trying to rest yourself in your true nature. So that's why you get so much of peace. So much of coolness is there. That is the idea, actually. That is the basic of yoga itself. I don't know. I'll just try to read a small letter. I mean, just gives you it is related to the seventh commandment itself. It's a letter from Babuji to some Abhyasi. He says, I see that there are men who want to tease others even without any cause. In that case, what is our duty? It is forbearance on our side and prayer for their correction. That is what he writes. And the next sentence he says, of course, it seems difficult at first to mold ourselves in a way that we think of rebukes as riches. Gradually, it becomes a habit of the sufferer and a tie is loosened. He says, as you practice more and more, this becomes a habit to practice the seventh commandment. That's the idea, he says. Another small related to the whole idea of seventh commandment and miseries. He says, all the current problems are there for the change of the world. The mentality of people will change and they will all be spiritualized. What I am telling you, I have written in reality at dawn. Civilization will arise from the bones and ashes, and that means much bloodshed. So every trouble or difficulty comes for something good. And it brings something good because piety comes. After every trouble, there is piety. I am telling you this since you are spiritual. Suppose you are suffering from fever, and after 2 or 3 days you get up and study yourself. You will find that you are very light. It is because the impressions have gone back and the poison that was in the body has been removed by nature herself. Nature wants to see you as you were when you came here for the first time. That is purity. Purity is there in God. Now he works with that purity and it came to our share also. So he wants us to remain as pure as when we were born for the first time. It is for this reason that difficulties are there. Difficulties have the purpose of bringing that state of tranquility. On the other hand, comfort is really discomfort because you are bound. You are sitting very comfortably, which means that you are bound. With a bound, it is not comfort at all. Whereas when you are free, that is comfort. When you are free from comfort and discomfort, then you are really free. I mean, just kind of a related topic, so I thought.
Can I share one story of Sant Tukaram related to this commandment?
Sister, please share. Please share, sister.
Yeah. Once Tukaramji, the great sant, was sitting near the bank of Ganga and doing bhajans. There was an envious person who wanted to disturb Tukaram. To provoke him to fight, he spit on his face. Tukaram got up, went to the river, took a holy dip, and came back to the bank and continued with his bhajans. The man repeated the spitting 108 times. Every time Tukaram went and took a dip and came back to the river bank and continued chanting without getting irritated or angry. In the end, the envious man got very fed up and he asked, "How come you are not becoming angry?" Tukaram replied, "Why should I become angry? I should actually thank you. Because of your mercy, I took bath 108 times in the Gangas." Means we always thank people who help us in favorable manner, but can we thank who will who will harm us or who will angry with us? We currently we cannot, we don't think to take revengeful, but we will thank and we will forget him like Tukaramji. That's the story.
Yeah, sir also writes about this in, I think, 10th commandment, if I remember it correctly, that we tend to seek forgiveness from master, we tend to seek forgiveness from universe, but we tend not to seek forgiveness for the person whom we wronged or we said something. Right? I know it is on the other context from what you are mentioning, but generally speaking, even from our side, to say sorry to that person, it is very difficult. We'll say sorry to the master, we'll say sorry to the universe, but going to that person and saying sorry, it's always very difficult, sir says. But that is four things he writes on how to clean up yourself from the wrongs done by you. And one of them is that he mentions.
Dr. Keshav Reddy, to add something.
Okay, yeah. Well, I won't talk about the spiritual ones that have been explained already. How the revenge should not be done in a physical way. Also, I will tell you, simple. If you take revenge, most of the people died of heart attack. In that heat, you only split your coronaries. You don't gain anything out of it. And your brain is cluttered with it. You can't do anything. And your sense of normalcy or comprehension, everything goes. Therefore, if from that point, physical plane, if you take also, it does hurt you. It doesn't improve you. It doesn't do any good. Therefore, spiritually, he has explained, and it may be difficult to accept what Babuji says and things like that. It is for our good, and it is. But revenge automatically comes. But if you, that's why count for 10, they sort of say that. Think about it and then reflect on it. It doesn't do any good for you, even health-wise even. Spiritually, anyway, Babuji has explained very well.
The famous Lord Buddha's thought on this revenge is that when you're angry and revengeful, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Not the person who has made you angry. Your burning coal is in your hand, and then who is getting hurt? You're getting hurt.
I think it's Dr. Martin Luther King or somebody's, Pujya sir also quoted, revenge is like drinking poison and thinking the other person will die. I think sir has written that in his.
You see, there's a very famous Russian mystic. Even he is mentioned. I mean, he's a very famous person called Gurdjieff. He's a Gurdjieff. He at the age of 7 years, he loses his father, and he lost his mother quite. He was an orphan at the age of 7 years, When his father was dying, he called him aside. He says, I don't have any money or property to give it to you, but I'll give you only one advice, keep it in mind. And he says, when anybody hurts you, makes you angry, don't immediately respond. Just wait for 24 hours and then try to respond, he says. And he tried to follow that, and he became a great spiritual mystic, actually. He says, you don't immediately respond. You just wait 24 hours and then try to respond, then react to him. Don't react immediately. Take 24 hours and then react. That was the advice of Gurjeev's father. Last death advice, where he was dying, he gave this advice.
Sir also refers to SOR model of very similar thoughts.
That is not related to revengeful thing. SOR model is any thought, any reaction you're doing. Like suppose a TV show is coming today, and a serial I have to see. So the thought has come. That is a stimulus. So what is happening normally in unspiritual people who are not meditating, or people who are sleeping, who are zombies, they automatically react to it. They go and put on the TV and then start seeing it. So just like a stimulus response immediately. So you are not thinking actually. You are just like a trained automaton, like a computer. You are reacting to input and output. Whereas a yogi, he will think, well, this by seeing this TV show, is it helping me or the other people? Is it helping me towards reaching my goal or not? That is the observation. Stimulus, observation, and then response. If you find that your action is not going to help you move towards your goal, then you have to abandon it. That is called viveka. He has given that idea to practice viveka continuously. Stimulus, observation, response. But if people do it, it requires a lot of willpower and a lot of self-control. Then progress will be very fast, actually. But how many people are implementing the advice of the sir? We have to, each one has to question for himself. That is for every thought and every action you're doing. We create thousands of thoughts in our mind, but we simply act on those thoughts. That means your samskaras, which your past habits which you formed, those habits will drive you to respond in a particular way. Are you just being a slave to those wishes? Are you just stopping and observing whether you should act on the thought which has come up, or allow it to treat them like an uninvited guest and allow it to dissipate on its own? That is the idea of practicing yoga. So here it's a clear-cut thing. A person is responsible for causing loss of property to you, causing physical loss to you, or putting you in jail or whatever it is, and then you should not be revengeful. It's very clear-cut there.
I think Babuji has his own life. He has given example, isn't it? His property was taken away, and but you have to do what you are supposed to do. It's all very, very not revengeful way. And when he lost it, thank God, everything is finished. And same thing when he was actually whole of his period in his work, he has been.
One of his clerk actually, he wanted to commit suicide, but then he helped the clerk's son to get a job later on.
Yeah, that's another. Therefore, by example itself, we can learn a lot.
Okay, so I think, let's meet next week.